this stage, Dr. Oldham, because he's so loose with terms like liar. He claims I call him a pseudoscientist. Maybe my memory's even worse than I thought, but I don't remember calling him that. He's not a scientist. Not a pseudoscientist. He's not a scientist, period. But never mind that. Why is everybody that he was a liar on? Because he does this, and he does it frequently. He speaks with authority about things that he either does not know, or in this case probably deliberately misrepresents. And that's the notion that bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics have invariably lost information. There's surely a case or two where they have, but we know there are many where they have not. They trade the information between themselves. You don't trade lack of information very easily between yourselves. It's an unusual characteristic of bacteria that they're capable of doing this. And there are special mechanisms that I won't bore you with that permit this. It is simply not true that this is a loss of information. If I give you a blowfly as an example of beneficial mutation, he turns around and says, "What is it, a new species?" That wasn't the point. The point was there are such a thing as beneficial mutations, and when he claims otherwise, he is, to put it gently, misrepresenting reality. Now, let me ask you a few questions. I hope you can just get short answers on this. Is Noah's Ark a fantasy for adults?
I believe Noah's Ark story is literally true. I think it's logical to think that one person and his family could put 2 of each kind and 7 of some kinds onto a boat. I think it is much more logical than to think everything came from Iraq 4.6 billion years ago. Yes, I believe the story is literally true.
Okay, now I just want to point out the double game this person is playing. Namely, if I cannot see something with my own eyes, namely an evolutionary change over long periods of time, which by definition you cannot see, then I've left the world of science and I'm in the world of fantasy, right? He believes that something is inherently true. He has not seen it with his own eyes, he cannot see it with his own eyes, he's just happy with it, he thinks it's logically consistent. That ain't science, that is, according to him, a fantasy for adults, period.
This is question and answer time. You're supposed to ask me a question and give me a chance to respond. So,
all right, go ahead. Okay, I have this question before you respond. All right, then give a quick response to my response.
If I were asking for the taxpayers to pay for the Noah's Ark story to be taught in the school, then the burden of proof would be on me to prove the story is true. I'm not asking for that. You are asking for the taxpayers to pay for the amoeba to man molecule to be taught.
Money. That's nonsense. That's a fantasy of his. And besides, it's once again distracting attention from the issue. Is there a fantasy for adults? Very much. Now let me ask you this. Where, given all this massive inbreeding that happened in species after species after species after species after species, including ourselves, where did all this genetic variability come from that characterizes all outbreeding species today?
I think I showed you probably
Excuse me.
I showed everybody from the magazine where they sell chickens, and there's quite a few varieties of chickens, and they eat people who breed chickens. No, they all came from a common ancestor, which was a chicken. I had a family who came to my seminar once. They've been involved in dog breeding for 4 generations. They said, "Look, for 100 years, our family has raised dogs. We are convinced if you give us 10 or 15 generic dogs, we can recreate every breed on the planet in less than 100 years. Sure, variations happen, but they're limited. They're still the same kind. So I think the evidence to go from 2 basic kinds on Noah's Ark to 200 varieties of dogs today is very doable, number one. It's all still a dog. Most of them wouldn't survive in the wild. They're made by humans for some particular reason. They wouldn't survive in nature. And it's still minor compared to changing from a rock to a human, real man.
Well, again, he's failed to deal with the question at hand.
Well, give it to me again.
It is quite, I will, let me just deal with the nonsense and fuck out in the meantime. It is quite true that if you take 14 different breeds of dogs, you regenerate almost everything, because they're genetically quite different, even though they're often inbred within the lineage. So when you cross them with each other, you have an enormous amount of genetic variability with which to deal with. He has jumped forward to chickens and dogs right now and failed to answer the question, which I'll state again for you, Dr. Hogan. Right after the flood, when these poor creatures had to find the world again to live in, and had to inbreed, how went all the genetic variability? How did it get regenerated so quickly in your worldview?
Well, you're saying what's called a straw man. They don't have to inbreed. The first generation, they married sisters. After that, they married cousins. After that, they married second or third cousins. So it's not a problem. It was Darwin married his first cousin intentionally because even there until the 1850s, they thought you'd get better children if you married close to the family. So it's been throughout history there were kings that had to marry royalty. The Habsburg family is an example, but it's required to marry royalty just a few hundred years ago. Sometimes they married their sister. They thought they would get increased gene pool. So it is not correct that after X number of generations everything goes bad. But it is, it's also saying with a straw man to say that they had to inbreed. First generation, they're marrying sisters. After that, it's cousins, and etc. And I think if you don't believe that all humans are related, this would quickly lead to the racist philosophy that races are radically different and evolve somehow differently, and therefore you're heading down the path Adolf Hitler followed to become, one race is superior. I would be careful of that one.
Okay. Well, again, he's failed to deal. On Adolf while you can here. I'll come right back to races and see how you actually think about them. But I just want to point out this is no dealing with the problem at all. You have siblings made together, you reduce genetic variability immediately by a quarter, when the next generation does it by another quarter, etc. The fact is that you've got inbred lineages, inbreeding. You can do the calculations trivial within population genetics. It's not an area of biology you master, and so you end up talking about whether rocks inbreed. Now, I think I'll skip another piece of science that is, I think, beyond you in terms of synonymous sites of genetics, and why do they tell time that matches exactly the time that geologists give, and which matches paleontological time as well. But let's turn to the races. I'm just curious how you fall out on this view. How did they get generated? We're starting with Noah and his wife and his children. How so quickly, and absent any beneficial mutations, and with this appalling record of inbreeding that wipes out variability, how did you get this wonderful variability in our species, including the Chinese, the Africans, the Asians, the Africans, the Europeans? How did you get it? No beneficial mutations, etc.
First, I guess I object to the term race. I think there's one race, it's called the human race. I think it's quite obvious to anybody who's been around, all of the so-called races are certainly interfertile and can breed with each other. So there is not really, the concept of race is very much overblown. There are just skin colors, okay? These are not different races of cows here because they are, different skin colors, okay? They all look the same in the meat locker and they all taste the same on a hamburger. So, with that said, there are four basic theories of where the races came from. I believe probably the Bible illustrates the best